Keeping track of the big stories of the day. In studio, Linda Mnisi will in a moment preview what we can expect in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. Brigadier Bongani Gininda back on the stand there as he continues to give evidence on his investigation. Our junior Khumalo is out on the streets of Johannesburg. This is where the ANC is commemorating the life and times of struggle stalwart Albertina Sisulu. That's a live picture there from those commemorative events. And then the 5 men charged with the murder of soccer star Senzo Meyiwa back in the Pretoria High Court this morning. Lead investigator Brigadier Bongani Gininda expected to continue testifying on the alleged confession statements made by some of the accused. On Friday, if you've been watching closely, Gininda told the court 2 of the accused gave false information in their alleged confessions. And he also revealed that the accused had implicated Meyiwa's then-girlfriend, Kelly Khumalo, as the person who orchestrated the hit, and he further refuted claims of multiple dockets in the case. Gininda is the last state witness to give evidence. Meyiwa was shot and killed in October of 2014. Newzroom Afrika's Linda Mnisi is following this one for us and joins us now in studio. Linda, good morning. It's really interesting because as the state continues, and this is a key piece and a pivotal piece of their evidence, people are named who've not been charged, and the public's been asking a lot of questions about people like Longwe Twala and Kelly Khumalo. Where are we now with that, and how often has that come up?
You'll remember that initially how Kelly Khumalo's name came to be featured in this case, not only as a complainant, but also as the alleged, a person behind the alleged mastermind, rather, is that it was through the confession statements. And in the confession statement, she is allegedly implicated by accused number 1 and accused number 2. So in this particular instance, Brigadier Bongani Gininda says the confession statements were an important part of the investigation because they had to look at what was contained in the confession statement, follow up on them, and then try to get information to corroborate with their evidence whether or not the information that was contained there was true. And one of the things that he highlights is the fact that on accused number 3's phone, cell phone downloads, there were pictures of money that were there. And the same picture, one of the pictures that was found in accused number 3's phone, was also found in Kelly Khumalo's phone. And now for the first time, we're hearing that the very same picture was also contained in Longwe Twala's phone. So all of that is coming up as Brigadier Bongani Gininda is taking the stand. He's basically talking about how they connected the dots. He speaks about how accused number 1, for example, gave the wrong names. But when you look at the contents and what he was saying, it in fact aligned with the investigations. For example, the issue around one of the intruders having dreadlocks. He says when they looked at the statements that were deposed by the people in the house, they said dreadlocks. The people who were also outside, who may have not been inside the house, the neighbors, said they saw a gentleman with dreadlocks running out. So he said that information, that piece of information is corroborated even by independent witness who they feel that would not have a reason to lie, like the neighbors. He also goes as far as talking about the intrusion itself, that when the alleged intruders entered the house, they demanded cell phone and money. And according to accused number 1 rather's confession statement, he also mentions the issue around, he was told that when they entered the house, they demanded cell phones and money. So he's basically painting a picture of how they corroborated the evidence. Even though accused number 1 used false names, the information that he gave was in line with what they had investigated.
The court today will focus on the confessions and the confession statements, but you can just share with us exactly what is likely to unfold today in terms of evidence. But I want to go back to one of the points that were also raised by Brigadier Bongani Gininda last week around changing the trajectory of the investigation and the investigative team once he was appointed, and some of the tensions there with the initial team that were assigned to investigate this case. That's a really important piece of this puzzle.
Absolutely, Iman, and it's such an interesting piece of evidence, given that we're almost marking 10 years since Senzo Meyiwa was killed, and Brigadier Bongani Gininda's testimony sort of gives us insights into what happened over the past 10 years. In the first 4 years, he tells the court that this particular case was being investigated by Brigadier Shibiri and his team. After nothing happened, a person was arrested, then released. This docket was then given to the National Cold Case Unit, which he heads. In the Cold Case Unit, it was himself leading the team. There was a Brigadier Mohala, who has since retired, Sergeant Mohola, Sergeant Mohane, Warrant Officer Buthelezi, and Lieutenant Colonel Joyce. Joyce. And what he essentially says is that in the beginning, when this particular docket was given to them, they had to analyze the contents of the docket and essentially tell the court, or rather tell the heads of the institution what exactly had happened. And what they found was that they were not agreeing about what exactly happened in the house, were there intruders or not.
No,
and
yeah.
that led to the opening of the second docket, because other investigators felt that there were no intruders in that house, while others felt there were intruders. So those that felt that there were no intruders then went and opened the second docket. And what is interesting about the second docket, he now says, it is not a murder docket. It is, in fact, a defeating the ends of justice docket. And one of the investigators in that particular docket, Warrant Officer Makubo, deposed a complainant statement. So he's the complainant, but he's also the investigator. So all of that will also be thrashed out as he continues his evidence.
All right, so that's all coming up. Anything else you want to talk to us about what is likely to unfold today? And it is interesting that it's almost like you hold your breath for the completion of proceedings each day, given the level of delays, postponements and adjournments.
Absolutely, Iman. And as he continues detailing the sequence of events leading to the arrest of accused number one, in fact told the court that one of the people that gave them a breakthrough was Constable Sizwe Zungu, the state witness who placed the accused at a hostel. He says his father gave them a sworn statement that implicated accused number one and two. Accused number one and two then later gave confession statements. He's already dealt with the confession statement of accused number one and is expected to now enter into the confession statement of accused number two, who, according to the state and the confession statement that we heard during the trial within the trial, says he was amongst the people that were inside the house. But of course, he denied that. But the court ruled that that confession statement was made freely, voluntarily, and without any undue influence.
Well, the pursuit for the truth in this particular story continues, and we'll watch those proceedings together with you today. Linda Mnisi is live for us in court, and we will pick up the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, I think in the 10 o'clock hour or when it gets underway.